In a world where laws are broken and society is driven by chaos, one boy's own will and desires for recognition will change the course of history forever.
よその星なんかに憧れずに、この地球を平和にして、戦争も交通事故もない世界にしていくしかないんだって考えたんです。
Thrust forward as these 5 warriors become the wheel deal by putting evil into the back seat. They are Oils well that ends well.
You're a dork! That's martial dork!
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us.
Gekisou Sentai! Carranger!
Welcome!
貴様何者だ
I am the kaiju no kami. Here's my card.
悪い奴ほど名刺を渡したがる
Never mind then. Screw you too. Can you believe this guy? Well, whatever. With that said, I am the Kaiju no Kami, and I am here to review Shout Factory's latest release of Gekisou Sentai Carranger. After the disaster that was Ranger, Toei hired Yoshio Urasawa to replace Nobuo Sugimura, who was the head writer for the franchise for the last 4 years. Being a comedy writer for various anime series such as Lupin the Third and Ranma 1/2 allowed Urasawa to put a fresh spin on Super Sentai by turning its newest series, Gekisou Sentai Carranger, into a parody. Bicycle, 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 bicycle. Thus, the series would constantly make fun of the tropes the franchise had been known for over the last 20 years, while also mocking Japanese pop culture at the same time. It is said that Carranger is what saved Super Sentai from cancellation after the abysmal ratings of Ranger, and that is why Sentai has been going ever since. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. I don't have anything to back that up. We just have to go based on what has been said by people, whether they're true or false. The only ones who are really going to know for sure are going to be Toei execs, and I doubt they'll ever talk about it.
Well, duh.
But let's start taking a look at Carranger first with the most important aspect, the heroes. The heroes! Unlike Ranger before, Carranger features a bunch of laid-back civilians who work in a garage to make ends meet while searching for their dreams. These 5 ordinary citizens are roped into their hero status by the last surviving child of a planet called Hazard, Dapu. He tricks these underpaid heroes into defending the Earth by pretending to die.
Dapu?
I never get tired of that scene. Oh, but underpaid, you ask? Yeah, actually, they are underpaid. In fact, they're probably more underpaid than teachers.
給料税込みで19万3000円でどうして宇宙の平和まで守らなきゃいけないわけ
私のお給料は20万ちょっと。
私は20万2000円
俺なんか17万8000円だね
21万でございます
Our heroes are Kyosuke Janai, Naoki Doman, Minoru Usugi, Natsumi Shinohara, and Yoko Yagami. In that order, they are played by Yuji Kishi, Yoshihiro Musajima, Yoshihiro Fukuda, Yuka Motohashi, and Atsuko Kurusu. The 5 are all lovable characters with distinct personalities that make it a blast to watch their shenanigans at every given moment. Kyosuke wants to be a race car driver and works at Pegasus Garage as the test driver. Naoki wants to be a car designer, while Minoru desires to be the best salesman for the garage. Not only is Natsumi Pegasus's mechanic, but she also wants to be one of the best mechanics in the world. Yoko is the girl who wants to get married and have a family life while being a successful accountant for Pegasus. On the negative side, there isn't too much growth made throughout the show, but it works out in the long run due to its comedic nature. It also helps that each actor brilliantly shines as they strive to give their characters everything they have. It's not often you get an entire cast trying their best at every interval. With that said, the Rangers go through a variety of weapons. They have guns and swords that tend to be standard Sentai fare. The big guns, so to speak, are parts from a miniature race car that represent a piece of it. What makes this bit stand out is that the car includes an instruction manual telling what each piece is, including how to form it into the traditional cannon to blow up monsters.
ダップどうやって使うんだ
説明書
It's a pretty neat idea, although Formula Giga is rendered a bit obsolete quite quickly as monsters learn how to grow and or how to duck.
あいつめああフォーミュラノアをかわしましたよ
Classic. Just downright classic. Now, I know I previously said they don't grow very much as far as characters are, but we do get some insight on them. I'll get into more details on Kyosuke later on in the review, but Minoru is hands down my favorite of the bunch. He's fun, energetic, and has some of the best moments of the show, whether he is losing his Excel changer,
カズンヤ激走アクセルセンターセンター
being hyped up after eating an electric eel,
君たち何をぼーっとしとんねんさて行くか
to accidentally mailing off the Ranger's upgraded cannon Giga Booster to a grandmother instead of a crib.
じゃあこれは何
これは何ってゆりかごやゆりかごゆりかご
そうよ
Naoki has some interesting characteristics as he is scared of pretty women.
私はもうダメでございます
Not sure what that says about Yoko and Natsumi then. In addition, there is one episode where we learn he always wanted a pet as a child, but his mom wouldn't allow him to have one. This leads to some excitement when the Rangers find a box with a strange critter in it.
日本ポンの美味しい天然水に宇宙モロヘイヤの粉をブレンドしたものをビーガーちゃんに飲ませると細胞分裂が激しくなる超ね
Natsumi was a lonely child who wanted a younger brother while also being made fun of.
私さ子供の頃からずっと弟が欲しかったのよ可愛いじゃん弟がいたらプロレスしたり
This led to her wanting to be a mechanic due to another mechanic's influence on her. This man gave her a specialty wrench that is supposed to be very powerful and be able to fix anything. Lastly, Yoko is... well, Yoko.
おいどけこの豚
Towards the end of the first half of the series, 2 living vehicles join up with the Rangers. They are Pegasus Thunder and Dragon Cruiser.
昔々天の川に誰にも心を開かない2台の野生の車があったとさ
This duo resembles the vehicles you would often see the Rangers driving in the shows during the 80s. They don't do too much outside of their premiere episode, but it is a neat little gimmick. Speaking of allies, the Carrangers have quite a few of them. I've already mentioned their mentor Dapu.
不気味なだけだっぷ
Agreed.
But there's also the owner of Pegasus Garage, his wife, and their son Ichitaro. Ichitaro puts a new spin on your typical child characters he purposely overacts, making fun of the countless number of children these shows have featured over the 2 decades. 2 of my favorite scenes that feature him include this one.
みんな怖い時は泣こう
へへへへ泣いたって無駄だテレリン
And this little tidbit here.
グラッチーあれお前俺が怖くないのか
泣くな、泣かないで。こんなとこで泣くとおじさんが泣かしたように見えるじゃないか。
おじさんが泣かしたんじゃないか。
Oh god, I love this show. Not too long into the series, a robot police officer enters the fray and acts as a sixth hero.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Signalman is his name. He isn't really a sixth ranger, and he also doesn't overstay his welcome, but when he is on screen, he is delightful.
何キロオーバーだと思ってんの？俺は激走戦隊カーレンジャーのレッドレーサーです。激走戦隊カーレンジャーのレッドレーサー？
Zeta Gundam's Hochu Otsuka adds an enriching personality to the character that is also enlightened when he becomes friends with Ichitaro.
ああ困ったな。
通った。
本館は一太郎くんの夏休みの宿題の算数は苦手である。
As if that wasn't enough, the hijinks are enhanced even further when Signalman finds himself unable to break the law in order to save people.
赤信号で渡ることを許せないのだ。渡らせたいが渡らすことができないのだ。
He is always hounding the Rangers for speeding or parking illegally, while also yelling at the villains for growing without his permission.
本館の許可なしに巨大化するとは。
Oh, and Signalman is also a married bot with a son. Not sure how that occurred, but maybe he had some robo-gra. Next up is the actual, but not really, sixth ranger, White Racer, better known as Magical Girl Radietta Fanbelt. Yep, you heard that right, we have a magical girl featured here. As if things couldn't get any funnier, Radietta is played by two different actresses. Megumi Hamamatsu portrays her in her first episode, but then she is played by Misaki Sudo for the remainder of her appearances. I'm quite certain this was an intentional change to mock how sometimes a character will return to the show after a long absence with a new actor, but I have no proof to back this up. Either way, it too makes for a hilarious joke.
ラジエッタ大丈夫か？
ラジエッタ？なんかちょっとみんなに雰囲気変わったんちゃうか？
Radietta also has a car that can transform into a robot cat with a time limit of 1 minute.
マジッカーロボのパワーは地域では1分間しか持たない。
I really love this character, but there's one little thing I wish they had made fun of. Her transformation. Not the transformation itself, but had made fun of like how long it takes a magical girl to transform. Think Megas XRL. Our final main hero is VRV Master. Just like with everything else, he manages to make a distinct impression on the viewer. On the downside, his biggest goal is to just deliver a new batch of mecha to the Rangers in their time of need. There is another aspect of his character, however it goes into spoiler material, so I will avoid talking about it. The villains! Since its inception, Super Sentai has featured all kinds of villainous personalities, with the vast majority of them being deadpan serious. In the case of Carranger, we have the intergalactic biker game known as Bozak. To start, we have Dynamo, Starter Motor, and Clutch.
Nah, that's not right.
I'm sorry. I mean Dynamo, Zelmoda, and Grotch.
リリリを副長にしないためにもワンパーの応援出さない方がいいぞ。
そのつもりだ。
ガイナもゼルモダがリリリを見殺しにするって。
Dynamo and Zelmoda were the ones who started the gang so they could do whatever they wanted to without rules.
ゼルモダ、今は2人しかいないけど、いつの日か宇宙にボーゾックの旗を翻そうぜ。
They are really great friends who have bonded quite well over time.
お前にだけ危険な真似はさせるものか。
Although their friendship can kind of be bought out.
俺とガイナモは固い友情で結ばれてるんだ。あ、うるうる、君持ってってるうる。
Anyway, their goal is to blow up the Earth because the woman Dynamo is in love with, Zonette, wants to see fireworks.
ガイナモ、
もんだ。
とぼけんな。ゾンネっての尻舐めてる場合じゃねえぞ。
Zanette is my favorite of the main villains due to the complex layers this character receives as the show progresses. She initially appears to be nothing more than an airheaded, stereotypical female villain, only to fall in love with Red Racer a quarter of the way into the show, which really lays on the laughs. If you thought this show was funny before, you haven't seen anything until you've seen a love story written as if it came out of a manga. And just like the magical girl bit, I'm being serious here too. Zonette goes to a store in one episode, buys the shoujo manga magazine Nakayoshi, and uses that to try to win the affection of Red Racer. What is even more hilarious is that one of the stories she reads is Sailor Moon.
これって恋なんだ。
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Now what surprises me more than anything though, is that this amorousness plot is well thought out and is executed far better than the vast majority of actual romance stories out there. 50 Shades of Twilight, this is not. The surprises with Zanette don't stop there. However, like VRV Master, I can't say much else. Oh, and I should probably mention her actress. Rika Muzutani was a porn star. Let that sink in for a moment. In time, Dynamo hires the services of a villainous consultant named Richie Hiker. He comes up with a variety of schemes and plots that go nowhere and is constantly making up excuses.
まあ今回は JJ ジェットン君が今一つ力不足だったかな。
It's also apparent that the only place to peacefully read anything is in Dynamo's personal bathroom.
読書はトイレに限ります。ここが一番落ち着くんです。
Randy has got to go. Will you please come out?
出ます。
俺様専用トイレで長々と何してやがったんだ。
Halfway through the series, Richie Hiker receives an upgrade that makes him smarter and he creates a robot dinosaur named Breaking. In the last quarter of the show, we are introduced to Reckless Dash Emperor Exhaust.
支配者ってなんだ。ああ、歯医者さんみたいなもんだろ、きっと。なるほど。
Exhaust wants to destroy the Earth because it's in the way of the highway he wants to build. This forces him to team up with the Bullsack in order to defeat the Rangers so they can get rid of the inconsiderate planet. Exhaust provides them with their own mecha, such as a model kit that came with the manga magazine.
のりしろのりしろ。さっさかさっさか。
And 3 creatures that scream of homages, or homages if that's what you prefer, to Sun Vulcan and Live Man. The evil mecha aside, the monsters of the week themselves are an interesting bunch. They are all, well, weird. It's kind of hard to describe them, but they tend to have 2 letters before their name, often a repeating word. Like there is a monster named RRE, but his name is pronounced as Ri. This is an area where I think the difference in our languages causes the meaning to be lost, but I'm pretty certain they are meant to be puns in one form or another. I do know that the monster Deo is meant to be a representation of a fan-favorite baseball player from the time named Hideo Nomo, and another named Papa Rapa, whose name just makes me want to hear this come out of his mouth. Well, regardless of the reasons, these monsters are wacky. We get a monster that wants the Gallagher spotlight of smashing watermelons by turning children into them. There is an Olympic-looking monster that screams, "Make fun of me," using Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
Oh, and what would a parody series be without the Evil Ranger clone plot?
ゾクレッドことスースーパマーン。ゾクイエロー。ゾクビッキュー。
With Jetman posing no less.
暴走戦隊ゾクレンジャー。
Not to mention Susu Paman has a scarf like a Kamen Rider, the colors of Ultraman, and his attacks are all based on the names of previous Sentai weapons and moves.
大銀河電撃科学暗黒剣稲妻電撃プラズマサイバーオーロラ。技の名前が長いんだよ。
My favorite among them is a toss-up between 2 different monsters. First, we have a colorful monster from an outstandingly cheesy episode, Esu Meleno. I just love how the colors on him really pop out of the screen, and the Japanese attempt at an Italian accent is awesome.
実はすっごく美味しそうなピザがあっちの道で集団交通違反してたの。こういうこと企んでるの。
ピザが怖くて地球人やってらんないわ。
The other monster is one that manages to break free of the speed force thanks to Zelmodo by the name of La Quinta. Looking like a Sentai version of the Flash has nothing to do with it. I just love the overall design, and his motorcycle is kinda badass. The foot soldiers of the series are called Woompers. They're a colorful cast of weaklings with a white one that will occasionally appear and get beaten up by accident as a running gag. Lastly, in episode 4, Grosh learns that a special homemade Imayoken gives him the ability to grow giant. Thus, that is what the monsters eat throughout the show to grow. It's pretty hilarious. The toy. Mecha. So while ratings were massively down in Ranger, the toy sales were exceedingly great. Fortunately, they did not allow that to get out of hand with Carranger, despite the possibility that they could have. The first of our machines are the Ranger vehicles. They are a bunch of cars created by the dreams of the Rangers, and they combine to form RV Robo. There's nothing too spectacular about it, but it gets the job done. The upgraded vehicles they get from VRV Master, called the VR machines, are a lot cooler in my book. We have a fire truck, a police car, a dump truck, a shovel truck, and an ambulance. What makes them superior though is that they each have their own robot mode, in addition to being able to combine to form VRV Robo. Another interesting aspect is that the vehicles are identical to RV Robo when it comes to combining, so they can mix and match them if necessary. That is pretty awesome. Sadly, VRV Robo gets a downgrade when it comes to weapons. RV Robo has a sword, while VR Robo gets some lame guns. Signal Man has his own police car mech that has a robot mode too, named Sirender. There is also a truck mech, Vic Trailer, that carries the VRV machines, has a stacked robot mode, and its arms become the finishing cannons for VRV Robo. Like RV Robo, there is nothing special about either of them, but they work for what they are. The music and effects. This is where things can get a little bit oddball, because sometimes they just don't hold up as well as you would think they would. Let's kick this section off with talking about how great the soundtrack is. Toshihiko Sahashi composed the score, and he did a masterful job of being able to make tracks that need to be goofy when necessary, and tracks that need to be serious.
VRV マシン発進準備。
His score is also quite energetic and really adds to the tone of the show. You may have heard his work in other series such as Kamen Rider Kuga, Agito Hibiki, Gengaman, the anime Fullmetal Panic, and both Gundam Seed series. His VRV Robo theme is also pretty awesome.
でもどうやって？俺がRVロボに乗り移る。ふざけた真似をしやがって。
The opening and ending themes are quite enjoyable too. Carranger was the first Sentai series to have 2 opening songs, although the second version is really just more of a fast-paced version of the first. They are both great and get you into the mood of the show. The ending theme, Tengoku Samba, eases you out of the show's energy with a more relaxing, slowed down theme. Both are performed by Takayama Naritaka and composed by Shoji Takahashi. The effects are standard fare at this point. The explosions and sparks all look as good as they can, while the miniatures are serviceable. The shots that were clearly done in front of a blue or green screen are pretty bad more often than not, rendering the effect groan-inducing. It also doesn't help that the video quality gets a little weird from episode 6 onward because the show switched being recorded on D2 cassette tape. So the colors look a little brighter while also looking a tad more faded at times due to this. There's nothing that can really be done about it though, as there's not too much more Toei can do to remaster the show up through Time Ranger thanks to this format. The episodes. I really love the way that Zyuranger, Dairanger, Carranger, and even Ultraman were shot and made. The episodes were really good. The problem is that Sugimura feel is gone from this for obvious reasons. However, in its place are episodes that just feel kind of, well, standard for the lack of a better term. That isn't necessarily bad, it's just the best way I can really describe it. There aren't as many interesting camera angles or pans, and the fights are not as well choreographed. Nevertheless, we do get a solid show all around, albeit a different one. The episodes are all fun and energetic with plots that fly by without you realizing how far into an episode you are until the final battle is at its end. The only episode I really despise is one titled Wearing Authority, Head-On Collision. This episode features a monster named Zezezuri, who is a seamster. He makes Signal Man a horrifying suit jacket that turns him into a rageaholic.
This is a crime against fashion!
超かっこ悪い。そんなに怒らなくてもいいじゃない。似合わないから似合わないって言ってあげてんだから。
Thus, he starts attacking everyone and everything around him, and Zezezuri even makes one for Surrender. The only saving grace for this episode is even the Rangers themselves mock at how terrible the jacket looks. It doesn't help that Zezezuri himself has a horrible design that would even make Harry from Turn A Gundam shrug. On the other hand, my favorite episode is hands down RV Robo's Wrong Way Run. This episode is just so damned awesome to watch. VRV Master leaves the Rangers a message saying that their fate will depend on how their leader, Red Racer, performs. This leaves Kyosuke freaking out about his responsibilities, and he has to take charge of the team by being the role model.
Gekisou Sentai Carranger!
あれ？あんたが待ちやがれや、もうま。
It makes a lot of fun out of the fact that the Red Ranger is the one who has to lead the charge, and we get to watch Kyosuke so pumped up to the point that he ends up finishing the work for each Ranger as they are trying to fight. Huh. I wonder if this episode is what inspired Carranger. Add to it the fight towards the end of the episode, and you have the masterpiece of this series. The DVD. Shout Factory has already provided us with 4 top-notch DVD releases. Is Carranger the same? Well, yes-ish. It's great, but far from perfect because there are a couple glaring issues. As expected, the discs are the same as the Region 2 discs, just with subtitles English menus. As I mentioned earlier, the switch to the D2 cassette tapes just changed the way things look from episode 6 onward, but there's nothing Shout could really do to fix that. Now, what is Shout's fault is with the subtitles. The translations themselves are fine, although there are a few things I question out of personal preference, rather than it being a matter of right or wrong. I do wish they had subbed the lyrics to the Zoku Ranger theme during their fight in episode 25, but I'm willing to overlook that. However, the biggest issue comes from the subtitles of episodes 25, 26, 41, and 42. They are mistimed. Thankfully, 25 subs are not mistimed that badly, but the subs in the later 3 episodes are horrendous.
はい、どうもミノルくんです。
シグナルマンでございます。
しかしなんやね、シグナルマンくん、君とこのサイレンはうるそうでかなわんね。
全然いないよ。
たく、一体どこ行っちまったんだよ、ダップ。
京介、
ミノル、
そうだから。
ダメだ。
What is really odd is that both episodes 26 and 41 start out fine for the first half, and it is the second half where they get really bad. The 42nd episode is like that from start to finish though. Worst of all, 41 and 42 are story-based episodes, making it even more painful as there is a lot of dialogue in those episodes. Additionally, episode 32 has a line missing at the end.
コーヒー牛乳が合うかもね。
もうええっちゅうねん。
And for some reason, they call Koban base whole burn base before keeping a Koban base for the rest of the series. Carranger versus O-Ranger. As with the previous releases, Shout Factory does not have the rights to the movie, and therefore Carranger vs. O-Ranger is not present in this release. It's kind of annoying, but you know what? I would rather have the series over a movie, and a movie that's simply really not that good. The movie isn't terrible by any means, it just isn't great. A lone surviving Paranoia machine is being hunted by the O-Rangers and ends up befriending the Carrangers. Fair enough, as this provides the reason as to why the two teams fight each other. The hard part is that the two teams just don't match well due to their opposing tones. In fact, the O-Rangers barely even interact with the Carrangers because I'm going to suspect Toei realized this too. Thus, half of the movie is spent with Captain Mira giving lightweight training to the Carrangers. I'm not sure what the point of it really was when he let them pass with ease. Maybe it was meant to be a parody of training sequences in Sentai shows? I'm not sure, I don't really get it, and it's more like a reference, not a parody. Oh yeah, also Bozak sends out a gasoline attendant monster that looks like Luigi with a gasoline tank stuck on him. I guess that's his punishment for giving Mario too many death stares. Either way, the fights are not that interesting to watch, the plot is mediocre, and the jokes just aren't all that funny. There's a few good lines, that is about it.
超力戦隊オーレンジャーだ。
オーレンジャー？なんじゃそりゃ。UAOH だよ。ああ、なんや、遊園地の人やん。同じ格好してる。
In the end, Carranger might turn off some viewers because of his comedic nature. If this does not cause an issue for you and you are willing to sit through one of the most well-told series with one of the most satisfying conclusions of the entire franchise, then this is for you. I give Carranger a 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. There's just so much entertainment to be found in this show that really highlights how wacky this franchise is. If you love comedy and don't mind serious bits with dramatic stuff, a love story that is better than most love stories, then this series is definitely one to watch. Sure, it is a flawed show. As I said, some of the Ranger development is kind of weaker than other series, others not so much. The villains are pretty well told though, and it's just fun all around. I do not know what else I can say. This should definitely be checked out. Until next time, bye.
Fuck you, Thunder! You can suck my dick. You can't get me, Thunder, cause you're just God's farts.